Have you ever imagined if giants are actually real? Well, they may be the stuff of myths or tales, but giants in actuality do exist. In this video, we introduce you to 15 amazing people with jaw-dropping height and size. From colossal athletes to record-breaking feats, these individuals pushed the boundaries of what the human body is believed to be capable of. Let's start off with number 15, William Muldoon. William Muldoon wasn't just strong. He was built like stone and moved like he meant it. He fought in the Franco-Prussian War, worked the beat as a New York cop, then dominated amateur wrestling until he won the World Greco-Roman Championship in 1880. A year later, he quit the force and stepped fully into the spotlight, billed as the Solid Man. His name became part of pop culture, even inspiring a vaudeville act called Muldoon's Picnic. He crossed into the theater, appearing in As You Like It with Maurice Barrymore, and trained fighters like John L. Sullivan for his 75-round brawl in 1889. He later coached Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney, helped form the New York State Athletic Commission, and even ran a health resort in Purchase, New York. Writers like Nellie Bly and Theodore Dreiser trained there. Muldoon kept going until the end. He's now buried in Valhalla, New York, right next to the other legends from vaudeville. Number 14, Aaron Reed. Aaron Reed isn't just massive. He's 6 feet 7 inches of persistence. He fought leukemia as a child, battled hepatitis during his wrestling years, and still built one of the most respected bodies in the world of strength. He's the tallest man to ever win a men's physique competition. And that title didn't come from luck. It came from discipline and super hard work. He wrestled professionally, trained like his life depended on it, and wrote books on nutrition so others could do the same. Reed's size draws attention, but it's his focus that keeps people listening. He's not just lifting weights, he's living through every setback and showing what happens when you don't quit. Whether he's in the ring, on a stage, or writing about health, he's earned respect by doing things the right way, consistently, patiently, and without excuses. In a world full of shortcuts, Aaron built something real, and it shows in every rep, every word, and every inch. Number 13, Mickey Hargitay. Before Arnold Schwarzenegger, there was Hargitay. Miklos Mickey Hargitay, born in 1926 in Budapest, laid the groundwork for the muscle-bound Hollywood dream. As a kid, he performed acrobatics with his brothers. After World War II, he moved to America, formed a duo act with his wife, and fell under the spell of bodybuilding. Inspired by Steve Reeves, he won Mr. Universe in 1955. Then came Mae West's stage show, where he caught Jane Mansfield's eye. The two married in 1958 and co-starred in wild, sometimes risque, cult classics like Promises, and The Loves of Hercules. Mickey wasn't just a body. He had charm, discipline, and camera magnetism. Off-screen, he raised 3 kids with Mansfield, including Mariska Hargitay of Law & Order, SVU. Though their marriage ended, Mickey never stopped evolving, from screen roles to TV appearances, until stepping away from fame to focus on fatherhood. He wasn't just muscle or mass. He was the blueprint, long before the world caught on. He was the real king. Number 12, Brahim Takioullah. In a small corner of Morocco, a young boy began growing faster than anyone around him could believe. By the time Brahim reached adulthood, he was standing at a staggering 8 feet 1 inch and wearing shoes so massive they looked like they belonged to a folklore giant. But Brahim wasn't some curiosity. He was living proof of a rare condition called acromegaly, caused by a tumor that made his pituitary gland work overtime. Doctors caught it late, but Brahim found his footing. Slowly, awkwardly, and with a lot of stairs. Nothing fits. Nowhere feels built for him. But he never folded into bitterness. Instead, his calm, unshaken demeanor turned him into a global icon of endurance. Featured in documentaries and world records alike, he gave people a glimpse of what it's like to literally live in a world too small for you. His feet might measure nearly 15 inches, but it's his quiet presence that leaves the deepest mark. He is a very good guy. Number 11, Eddie Hall. Well, you don't forget the first time you see Eddie Hall. Now, not because of the size, though 6 feet 3 inches and over 400 pounds is impossible to miss, but because of the way he carries it, like it's personal. Born in Staffordshire, England, Eddie wasn't made for half measures. He didn't just train, he punished the weights until they gave in. And in 2016, the world stopped to watch him do the impossible, lift 500 kilograms off the floor. His body went into shock, his nose bled, he blacked out, but the bar came up. The following year, he took the world's strongest man title, then stepped back before the sport broke him. Eddie's story isn't just about raw power, it's about obsession, risk, and sacrifice. He gave everything to lift what no one else could, and in doing so, made strength feel alive. For lifters everywhere, he's not a name. He's the damn benchmark. What do you think about him? Is he your favorite beast? Number 10. Sajad Gharibi. Sajad, aka the Iranian Hulk, gained global attention thanks to his unbelievably thick frame. At just 25 years old, he stood 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighed around 340 pounds. His arms, chest, and shoulders looked unreal in photos, more like a drawing than a man. Basic household objects looked like toys in his hands, which only added to the online buzz. His social media exploded, especially in 2016, when he announced plans to join the Iranian military during the conflict with ISIS. That made headlines across the Middle East and beyond. But Sajad's focus wasn't just on war, he's also expressed a serious interest in pro wrestling and combat sports. He's mentioned wanting to follow legends like Andre the Giant, though critics have often doubted whether his strength matches his size. Either way, his presence is hard to ignore, and behind the tough exterior, he's known to be polite, respectful, and soft-spoken. Number 9. Mariusz Pudzianowski. Mariusz Pudzianowski isn't just one of the strongest men in the world, he's one of the most decorated to ever compete. I mean, for real. He's 6 feet 1 inch tall and weighed around 320 pounds at his peak, and almost everything he touched looked light. Pudzian won 5 World's Strongest Man titles, more than anyone else in the competition's history. He dominated nearly every event he entered, fast, explosive, and technical. In one challenge, he lifted 5 stones weighing over 370 pounds each in under 17 seconds. But he wasn't just strong, he was fast, strategic, and incredibly conditioned. That's what made him dangerous. Later, instead of retiring like most strong men do, he jumped into MMA and turned out to be just as competitive in that world too. In Poland, he's treated like a national icon. Even now, years after his peak, his records still hold weight, literally and figuratively. Number 8. John Aasen. John Aasen wasn't just tall, he was staggering. Measured at 8 feet 10 inches, he remains one of the tallest humans ever recorded, and one of the few to step into film at that height. His body was long, narrow, and almost impossible to photograph in full frame during his time. In surviving footage, a tailor climbs a ladder just to measure his chest, which was over 60 inches around. One clip shows a man standing inside one of John's shoes, both of his feet fit in with room to spare. Aasen's physical presence was unmatched, and in early Hollywood, that alone made him a figure worth putting on camera. He never leaned into sideshow territory or played the comic relief. He just stood there, and that was enough to capture attention. His health declined over time, but he kept working as long as he could. Even now, his proportions seem hard to believe unless you see the photos for yourself. All right, guys. Now, let's head over to number 7. Satnam Singh. Satnam Singh wasn't just tall, he was built like a structure. Standing 7 feet 2 inches and weighing around 360 pounds, he became the first Indian player ever drafted into the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks picked him in 2015, and while he never played in a regular season game, The significance of that moment can't be overstated. He was already 5 feet 9 inches by the time he was 9 years old. By 14, he had grown to 6 feet 6 and was wearing size 18 shoes. His father, a tall man himself, hung up a basketball hoop outside their house and introduced him to the sport. That's where it started. Singh went on to train in the U.S., pushed hard through language barriers, cultural differences, and non-stop pressure. He later transitioned into pro wrestling, where his size gave him new life in a different spotlight. He's still active today, and in Indian sports history, his name stands tall for a reason. Number 6. Adam Rayner. Adam remains the only person in recorded history who lived as both a dwarf and a giant. In his teens, he measured just under 4 feet 9 inches, below the cutoff for dwarfism. That was enough to get rejected from military service in World War I. But at 21, his body changed. Rapid growth hit him like a freight train. Doctors found a tumor near his pituitary gland, flooding his system with growth hormone. His spine twisted, his face expanded, and his height kept increasing. By the time he died at age 51, he had reached nearly 7 feet 9 inches. It wasn't a smooth transformation. It brought health problems, deformity, and years of medical intervention. Surgeons tried to halt the growth, but the condition couldn't be fully reversed. His body never found balance. It's one of the rarest documented cases in medicine. Rayner's life became less about curiosity and more about endurance, as he battled a body that simply wouldn't stop changing. Number 5. Hafthor Bjornsson. Most people know him as the Mountain from Game of Thrones, but he earned his reputation long before that. He stands 6 feet 9 inches tall and weighs over 400 pounds, one of the largest strength athletes to ever compete. He didn't start out aiming for deadlift records. In his early years, he played professional basketball in Iceland. A knee injury cut that short, and that's when he turned to strength training. From there, things took off. He entered strongman competitions and quickly became one of the most dominant names in the sport. He won Europe's Strongest Man multiple times and famously deadlifted 501 kilograms in 2020, breaking the world record. His presence is unreal, but he doesn't just rely on size. His training is precise, calculated, and consistent. Whether he's competing, acting, or boxing, he carries that same intensity. For a guy once sidelined by injury, he turned it into a career that made him a giant. Number 4. Paul Sturgess. Paul Sturgess is 7 feet 7 inches tall and still the tallest professional basketball player ever born in Britain. His name made headlines back in 2011 when Guinness World Records officially confirmed his height. Unlike many athletes with extreme stature, Paul's height didn't come from a health issue. It runs in the family. His dad is 6 feet 10 inches tall, and several other relatives are also well above average. Paul's shoes are size 19, and he used to be the second tallest man in Britain, just behind Neil Fingleton. That changed after Neil passed away. Paul first caught public attention as a teenager when he appeared on Britain's Tallest Teens. He later trained in Florida and played college basketball in the U.S., where his height instantly stood out. He's played for the Harlem Globetrotters, appeared in ads, and continues to use his height as a positive platform. On or off the court, Paul still makes an impact just by walking in. Number 3. Hongman Choi. Hongman Choi doesn't blend in anywhere. Standing 7 feet 2 inches and weighing around 330 pounds, he was built to stand out, and he does. In the ring, he's known as the Techno Goliath, or Korean Monster. Opponents have described him as almost inhuman, and not just because of his reach. His knees are about the height of some fighters' chests. He started in kickboxing and moved into MMA, where his fights became known for their size mismatch alone. But it wasn't just brute force. Choi has real coordination and timing, which is rare for someone that size. Outside of fighting, he dipped into pop culture. He formed a music duo with model Kang Soo-hee in 2007, and the group, called Beauty and the Beast, actually made headlines in Korea. Whether he's on stage, in the cage, or in front of a crowd, Choi owns the space. If you've seen his match against Akabono, you already know. He's impossible to forget. Number 2. Sandy Allen. She stood 7 feet 7 and 1/4 inches tall, making her the tallest woman in the world for over 3 decades. That title was officially confirmed by Guinness World Records in 1976. Her height was caused by a tumor in her pituitary gland that triggered excessive growth hormone. Life wasn't easy. Simple things like shoes, clothes, or just fitting into chairs became daily obstacles. But Sandy stayed calm, patient, and warm. In the 1970s, she wrote to Guinness asking if she might be the tallest woman alive. When they confirmed it, her life changed overnight. Media attention followed, along with appearances in documentaries and public events. She turned it into something positive. Sandy used her platform to speak about embracing uniqueness and handled public curiosity with grace. She died in 2008 at the age of 53, but even now, her story stands tall, not just for her size, but for how she carried it. Number 1. Feodor Machnow. Feodor Machnow was born in 1878 in what is now Belarus, and by age 14, he already measured over 2 meters tall. The growth didn't stop. He reached nearly 2.5 meters, over 8 feet, by the time he was 16. Clothes didn't fit. Furniture didn't work. Everything around him had to be built from scratch. His boots were so big that local kids would crawl into them as a joke. At 14, he joined a traveling circus. At 16, he was the main attraction. Scientists were fascinated and offered him money to study his body after death, but he refused. He later married a fellow performer who stood about 5 feet tall, and they had 4 children. Despite the size, Feodor was known to be gentle and humble. His life was short. He died in 1912 at 34 years old. But his legacy still pops up in medical texts and circus history. Not many people could physically fill a room the way he did. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.